It's time now for the Success is Subjective podcast. Here is your host and therapeutic consultant for young adults only, Joanna Lilley.
Hi, and welcome to the show. Today, my guest is Michelle Hammer. Michelle is a schizophrenia activist and spends her time passionately fighting stigma. She is an NYC native featured in the WebMD documentary Voices, which was nominated for a Tribeca X Award at the Tribeca Film Festival. Michelle was diagnosed with schizophrenia at 22 after a misdiagnosis of bipolar at age 18. At 27, Michelle decided to use her artistic talents and fearless personality to do something that could benefit the mental health community. In May of 2015, she founded a mental health-focused clothing brand. It's called Schizophrenic.NYC, and it's a clothing brand that aims to reduce stigma by starting conversations about mental health. Michelle has also been featured in many publications such as Mashable, The Daily Mail, Stylist, and BuzzFeed, as well as on TV networks like ABC, NBC, and CBS. Let's get to the interview now with Michelle on today's edition of Success is Subjective. Michelle, thanks for being a guest on today's episode of Success is Subjective podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited. I was just saying offline, you're probably one of the only people that I am really excited whatever content you put out on social media, because not only is it informative, it's appealing.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's my goal. That's what I'm trying to do. I want people to watch what I make, and I'm trying to do really informative stuff and enjoyable to watch at the same time, you know?
I love it. Okay, well, you're doing great in my book. So I know a little bit of your story because in filling out the podcast guest form, I read what you wrote and I'm like, oh my gosh, you have got an amazing story, and especially as it relates to this idea that success is subjective. So let's start from the beginning. Why don't you actually tell our listeners, where did you grow up and what was the information that you were hearing about what you were supposed to be doing after high school?
Sure. I grew up in Westchester, New York, the first county above the city. And after high school, you go to college. And I guess in college, that's where I kind of realized that I had a mental illness, because things went too ahead and I realized that I was extremely paranoid. Things made no sense. I tried to get some mental health help at the health center. They gave me the wrong diagnosis. They gave me the wrong medication. Things didn't work out well. I ended up in the psych ward twice my freshman year, once my sophomore year. I was kind of determined maybe there's a bigger issue. I went on a medication that really subdued me, made me calm, but it was something that you couldn't really live on once I was out of college. I couldn't really take it anymore because I couldn't just be sleeping all day long and very tired. So I got a new doctor and got my schizophrenia diagnosis. And I tried to work so many jobs, and I actually counted recently. And in 5 years, I actually got fired from 10 different jobs or so. So I decided, it was kind of I can't work for other people anymore. It's not working. I can't do it, But throughout all the jobs experiences in so many different industries that you can possibly imagine all over New York City, I learned how to start my own business, build my own brand, realize how I could do it. And that's what I did, because working for other people didn't seem to work anymore. It just, when you fail 10 times, you know what I mean? Do something else. Corporate New York City is just not that easy, because for everyone that has a job, there's 10 people or more that want your job. So if you make any mistake, especially if you make more than one mistake, you're gone. You're done.
Yeah.
They only need 3 reasons to fire you. And there you go. Bye.
Well, like you said, 10 jobs in 5 years, you tried. And that's actually, I wouldn't say that's a lot, right? That's a lot of constant transition and motion and really trying to make something else fit. And I like how you put a spin on it, right? Instead of seeing this as I failed 10 times, you were like, cool, this is not working. I got to figure out how to work for myself.
Yes.
Like you said, I need to brand myself. And I think that actually is a really good segue to you even just kind of filling us in. So what do you do now that you work for yourself?
Right. So I had that schizophrenia diagnosis. I wanted to tell people that I had schizophrenia because it was always like I had this secret that I can't tell anyone. And why can't I tell anyone? It's so annoying. You can't tell people about your mental health issues, but if you have any other illness, you can share it with people, except, there are a few you don't share. That's not entirely true. There's a few you do keep hush hush, you know what I'm saying? But, you're not supposed to tell anyone. And I was like, that's so dumb. If it's such a huge part of me, why can't I tell people? I didn't like that. So I was like, I'm going to tell people in the biggest, boldest way possible. And I'm going to start a brand and I'm just going to make it happen. And like, my doctor was even like, you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yes, and I just did it. And I didn't know what I was really doing at first, but I did it. And it was kind of like, what? And then like, I had gotten really lucky because I had played post-collegiate lacrosse on this team. And I met there was this British girl and I was like just chit-chatting. And then like, I begged this girl online, like, please feature me on your website, please, please. And I had been messaging her forever. So finally I did a little interview with her and I posted it on Facebook and this British girl sees it and she goes, hey, I work for the Daily Mail. I think this would be a really good thing for us to put on our website. And I was like, yes, you can do that. Please. And that's where it all started taking off because people were like, we saw you in the Daily Mail. And I was like, yeah, cool. And that girl, I've tried to message her since, like it's been a long time. She's gone to like the Met Gala. She's doing all this awesome stuff. She doesn't respond to me anymore. But yeah.
She probably sees it, but maybe she just doesn't have time to respond. I don't know.
I think she's like way above me now. She's like doing all the cool stuff. She's like, I don't have time for you. Like I played lacrosse with you like one tournament like 10 years ago or something. Like, why are you still messaging me? Like, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Well, I love it. So it sounds like the Daily Mail then really is what catapulted more folks to following you.
Yes, absolutely. And that's how I got featured in more things. And then somehow I got featured in Mashable somehow. And then Mashable like took off all this other stuff. And then people just started finding me. And then I got featured in a WebMD documentary. And that now has like 1 million views on YouTube. But I get people find me through that. People always message me that they found that documentary and it helps them, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just a whole big thing that I've just become so many like little things on social media, just adding up. And it just kind of like, at first my website got like no orders. Now I get a whole bunch of orders all the time. And then I pop up still all over New York City. And sometimes people come just to meet me and stuff. Or some people just are like, hey, what's this? Or I get that, oh, I follow you on YouTube. Oh, I've been following you on Instagram forever, Or it's still I'm standing there and I'm like, nobody's buying anything. You know what I'm saying? So there's always good days and bad days,
Well, and for anybody that's listening to this, that they were like, I have no idea what you're even talking about. Pretend like you are filling somebody in, like, because the important thing, I love that you, again, I'll go back to my comment. I love watching your content because what you're doing is destigmatization, right? You're like, this is real and this is not scary. So let me just show you what this is like, because we know education is awareness and it comes from a place of curiosity rather than fear from being uneducated. So anyways, tell us what is your content?
Right. So my username and stuff in my brand is all Schizophrenic.NYC. I just go Schizophrenic.NYC. It's just, and then like, it's people just like, that's the whole thing that first grabbed people. They would see my huge, I just made sure I got a really big sign. So people would just say Schizophrenic.NYC, don't be paranoid, you look great. And people would be like, what is this? Like, explain this to me. So I always get all different kinds of reactions. So I never really, like, my pop-up shop, like, it just attracts all kinds of people and I never know who I'm going to be talking to. One time I was popping up and I met 4 different psych nurses. And I was like, how have I met 4 different psych nurses today? Like, really? Like, how did that happen? But then I'll also attract people that are like, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I'm a drug addict. And I'm like, oh, yeah, all right. Well, we have a whole conversation because I talk to anyone. But also once I tell people that I have schizophrenia, they'll tell me like, oh, that they have a mental illness or a friend of theirs has a mental illness or a family member of theirs has a mental illness. So my whole thing is, if it's so common, why is there so much stigma? It makes no sense. Because if everyone is telling me their whole life story, because like, it's like once as I say that, it's just like they tell me their whole life story. I hear everyone's life story all the time. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I like talking to people and I have fun doing it. So please tell me your life story. I'm there to listen because I'm just chilling outside all day. But like, it's so common. What is the stigma about? What is the stigma? Or people are like, yeah, I had a schizophrenic mother. Oh yeah, my grandma was schizophrenic. I had an uncle who was schizophrenic. So why don't we talk about this more? You know? And they're like, yeah, it's like the black sheep. And I'm like, why the black sheep? Why do you hide these people away? Like, let's get people, noticed, talking, having conversations. Don't just hide them away, Or then I get the common question, the most common question: how do you help somebody who has schizophrenia that refuses to accept they have it and won't take their meds? And I'm like, if I knew the answer to that, I'd be a millionaire. Because that's the most common question that I get. And I'm like, I always say, approach them, be a friend, try to help them. Say you'll go to the therapist with them. Just, let's just see what they say. Just check if maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong. So let's just go together. And also people are like, they don't like their meds. They don't want to take their meds. I'm like, try another medication then. Maybe that medication isn't good. Because in my life, I've thrown out a lot of medication before I found the meds that I liked. So maybe they don't like the meds that they're on. That's what I always say, because the first meds I was on, I threw out in the garbage, Yeah,
honestly, that's great advice. And I feel like you would be a millionaire if you knew the answer to that, because that is, I mean, that's hard. That's really hard. The idea of acceptance, right? For somebody on the outside being like, why can't they accept their diagnosis? Like, hold on. Let's back up the bus. There's more going on in this picture. And it's not just about how do we get our loved one or our friend or whoever to acknowledge that this is what they're struggling with.
Yeah. Gaining insight into your illness is one of the hardest things to achieve. So it's always like, how do you get there? And it's not an easy place to get there, especially when it's schizophrenia and there's a lot of paranoia involved. So you're going to think that people are lying to you, or they're trying to harm you, or they're not telling you the truth, So it's really, it's not the easiest one to accept that you have, But the thing is, what I always try, when you get a schizophrenia diagnosis, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's actually a good thing, because then you can be treated for the correct illness. And then being treated for the correct illness means that you could have a well-managed illness and live a great life. Why do you want to suffer?
I love how you just said it, like, I can live a great life. I mean, to me, this is like, that feels like common sense. Why all of a sudden do we feel like somebody with any diagnosis can't live a good life?
Right. That's because that's what, stigma is, and a lot of stuff you see in the movies is, there's just bad representations all the time. Because, you might hear on the news, this person with schizophrenia hurt a person or people, but you don't hear this person with schizophrenia woke up in the morning, had some coffee, went to work, after work saw some friends, maybe had some dinner, went home, went to bed, because, crisis and mental illness is public while wellness and mental illness is private. Because nobody wants to hear that jolly story of oh, they had a great time, and never wants to ever. The news is full of murders and crime documentaries, and crime stuff is popular because people want to hear about that. Nobody wants to hear about oh, this person had a fine day, oh, and they have a mental illness, but they had a fine day. Look at them sitting at their desk doing work. That's not entertaining. What's entertaining is the drama, the bad stuff, the stuff that makes you interested,
Yep.
Who wants to hear a good story? Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Where's the fun in that?
Exactly. Where's the fun in that? People want to hear the bad stuff because that's what's entertaining.
So knowing all of this, all of the work that you're doing, the journey that you've been on, both personally and professionally, getting to where you are today, do you see yourself as successful?
You know what? I think I'm somewhere in the middle there. I think I could do more, but I think I could be less. So I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I could do more. There's more to do. Okay. I don't think you ever really reach the top.
What advice, and here's the follow-up question, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self? Knowing what you know today, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, my 18-year-old self, what advice would I give today? I would be listen, first of all, these are the meds you need. Like, take these ones and relax. Like, just relax. Like, chill out. Like, calm down. Like, stop being so paranoid and just relax. Like, do your homework. Your friends don't hate you. Not everybody hates you. Just relax and stop drinking so much.
I think we could all give ourselves that advice, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I love that. I think that's just helpful to hear for a lot of the young adults that exist nowadays. It's mental health aside, just to calm down, to relax in general, I think is some really solid advice too. And yeah,
like it's not a race. It's not a race. It's not a race.
Exactly.
You know, it's not a race.
Yeah.
You know?
So in addition to the pop-ups that you're doing, you also have a store, and you kind of just alluded to it earlier, like some of the stuff that you're selling. So for those that are listening, what is some stuff that they can pick up on your site?
Oh, on my site, I have like different t-shirts that say different things, like "Don't be paranoid, you look great," or "It's not a delusion, you're incredible," you know, "Define normal, I'm mentally ill, I don't kill." And then I have all kinds of pill boxes and artwork, and the artwork is like on the pill boxes too. I have the daily ones, I have the weekly ones, I have some mugs. I'm looking all around the room so I can see, like, what do I have? Like different things, art. What do I have in here? Totes. There's leggings. There's artwork, which is behind me, as you can see. I have a book that I came up with called "Should You Hide Your Schizophrenia," which is really just a lot of questions and answers, because I get asked questions all the time, and a lot of the time they're the same exact questions, and you would think that like people would know the answers to these questions, but they're the most common questions that I get all the time. So I just made a book of pretty much the most common questions that I get. So just be like, just like, should you hide your schizophrenia? Should you? Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. What's going on? Or one of the questions is like, can you drive? Well, can you? Some people can, some people can't. But here's some of the reasons of why you can and why you can't. You know, because that is a question that I get all the time. Can you drive? And I'm like, well, I don't own a car, but I can drive. You know, I can. Some people with schizophrenia choose not to drive, but I can drive. But people ask me that every single day. I get asked if I can drive. It's like, I don't know why that's the biggest question all the time.
I feel like my rebuttal would be like, can you drive? We're in New York City. Who drives?
Who drives in New York City? I always say, well, I don't have a car right now because I don't have a parking spot, and I don't have a car, but like I have a license. I can drive. Like, but every day I'm always asked if I can drive.
That surprises me, honestly.
Yes. It's such a bizarre question. Or they always ask me, the thing is, I'll answer a million of the same questions all the time. And then I get asked on the top question, like, I'll just get 5 of the same questions. And it's like, just keep watching the videos, you know? If you just keep watching, like, I'm like, if you just watched 5 more videos, you would have gotten those 3 answers already. So it's... And I'm not, so there's some questions in the comments I just won't answer, because if they could just keep watching, they'll understand the answers. But I will answer many comments all the time. But you know, it's like, if it could just be answered if they watch the next video, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I get, but it's not that I don't get annoyed by comments. I love a comment. I love all the comments, except that they say, I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls, I'm in your walls, because that's all the time as well, you know. But then I always say, you know, spray some Raid while you're in there, like, be handy. But there was this other one today, like, there's bugs in your walls, there's bugs in your walls, there's bugs in your walls. And I'm like, I live in New York City. Of course there's bugs in my walls. That's why Dennis comes once a month to spray. That's not even trolling. That's the truth.
Yeah.
There are bugs in my walls. Like, what? I don't know why you're trying to make me paranoid. Like, that's true.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
That person's a dum-dum.
Yeah, that's not even trolling. Like, why are you stating a fact? Why are you stating a fact? I have an exterminator for that exact reason. There are bugs in my walls. It's when they come out it's not good. That's why I put sticky traps down, for when they come out of the walls.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one kind of off script question, because you just like made me think about something. With all of the work that you're putting in towards destigmatization, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge that you face? Is it the trolls, or is it like, what's the biggest challenge that you face now that you're putting that content out?
The biggest challenge that I face, I don't really know. I don't know the biggest challenge that I face. I don't know. Maybe haters in public. I think people approaching my pop-up booth and being like, what is this? This is offensive, things like that. Like always a hater of some sort, like that kind of a thing. Or just being in New York City and someone really just like dealing with a Scientologist who pops up next, who comes to me and says no medication, or somebody saying I had a schizophrenic friend who died and he would find this really offensive. And I was like, well, I'm glad he's not here to see this then, I guess, well, that's pretty terrible. But if you wouldn't like it, I would just say, don't come over here. Or a lady once yelled at me one time because it was schizophrenic and not schizophrenia. And I was like, well, okay, I could explain it to you. And she was like, I don't want you to explain it to me. I've seen enough. And I was like, well, then you're just being stigmatizing on your own because you're choosing not to learn, just had people like that saying that I'm being offensive. And I'm like, well, if you're offended, don't buy anything. But I feel like the word schizophrenic has become less offensive because people are all the person first language debate, which I think is the biggest waste of time, and we should be spending our money on maybe homeless people with mental illnesses and not people getting offended by certain words that aren't really offensive, because it's mostly family members who get offended and not the actual person. So we should actually help family members dealing with the person and helping the person out, and not words that aren't really offensive that don't really hurt anyone.
Yeah.
I go by identity first language, but it's just that person first language debate. Like when I first started, people would really say things to me that I was offending people, but I've noticed that got less and less and less and less and less. Yeah.
And I wonder if that has something to do too in tandem with your like having a larger audience, right? More and more people have seen you. And so it's, yeah. Okay, last question. Is there any last thing that you feel like you haven't said that you want to share with any parents listening to this podcast?
I mean, with any parents listening to this podcast, I would say just, if you have a child with a mental illness, just treat them like they're a regular person. Don't infantilize them. Don't be always like, did you take your meds, honey? Like treat them like a person. They're not like a baby. Nobody needs to be infantilized. Nobody needs to be treated like they're a little kid. Treat them normally. Don't let stigma get in the way of living their best life or anything. We're all normal. We're regular people. We're not marginalized group of people that needs to be treated so much differently. We're people. We're just people. You know what I'm saying? We're cool.
Totally. I know exactly what you're saying. I love it. So we'll make sure that we have all of the links, including just contact or any of the social media, as well as your site where people can buy any of the like goods that you're selling. So shirts, pill bottles, like you name it, everybody check it out. Support Schizophrenic.NYC. And Michelle, thanks again for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this week's Success is Subjective episode. We want to thank our guest for joining Joanna on the show this week and for being willing to share your journey. This podcast would not exist if it weren't for people such as yourself. Stay tuned for our next episode, where you can bet it'll be another amazing human sharing their personal story with the world. Make sure you check out the show notes, where you will find contact information, website details, and all social media for our guest. Put a face with a voice by accessing their interview on the newly formed successissubjective.org website. If you are interested in being a guest on the podcast, you can email Joanna at joanna@successissubjective.org. Be sure to check out the collegealternative.org and lilyconsulting.com websites for additional resources outside of podcasting. If you are listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, please subscribe to the show. And while you're at it, feel free to leave a review. You can also download to listen to the Success is Subjective podcast on other popular podcast apps, such as Audible, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Last but not least, Success is Subjective is listener supported, made possible by our team and by you. You can support this podcast by joining the Patreon community at patreon.com/successissubjective. Thank you for tuning in, and remember, there is no single path through life. Success is what you make it.
Do you have a teenager or young adult who seems to have lost their way? Maybe they need help navigating adolescence, adulthood, and decisions surrounding higher education. Or maybe they have become withdrawn, their grades are slipping, or they are flat out living a reckless lifestyle, and you're concerned about their health and well-being. If this describes what your teen or young adult is facing, a therapeutic consultant may be able to help. Mental health, addiction recovery, and higher education can all be equally expensive. While information is everywhere, how do you know what option is the best one for your family? Some parents have the time to research and navigate this on their own. Some don't. If the latter applies to you, enter therapeutic consultants. Therapeutic consultants, like Joanna, listen to your family's specific needs and advocate on behalf of your loved one. TCs will research therapeutic resources, recommend treatment programs, and assist during adulthood transitions. Not being affiliated with any program, their support is completely objective and catered toward the best interest of each unique family. To find a qualified therapeutic consultant to work with, check out TCA, also known as the Therapeutic Consulting Association. Their website is therapeuticconsulting.org, all one word. Again, that's therapeuticconsulting.org. Then click the Find a Pro tab up at the top.